morning, Birmingham. I've had an incredible 24 hours. I've met some incredible people here. Shout out to Clint for the sneakers, freshly made, an artist around here. And so today I'd like to kind of walk through a little bit of the beginning of Cameo and then chat with Malcolm about the future and things that we're currently going through. So I thought I'd start by sharing, it's a little bit of a trip down memory lane for me, some early photos and videos of what it was like to build Cameo and how we found product market fit and stuff like that. So, yeah, this is building a consumer tech company not in the Bay Area, which I think a lot of people here are going through. So this is us in my living room. These are my two co-founders, Steven and Martin. When we started Cameo, Martin was an NFL agent with exactly one client, and he knew nothing about American football. He's from the UK. And his whole job was, how do I get this guy paid? But he wasn't a first stringer. He wasn't a household name. And he was trying to find any way to get his client paid. And he knew that fans would love to connect with him. So he knew that there was some kind of a market here, even though he couldn't find endorsement deals or things like that. And so Steven and Martin were chatting, and they were like, we should build a platform where you can do any kind of experience with an athlete for some amount of money. So if you wanted to go golfing with Tiger Woods, or you wanted Serena Williams to come to your daughter's birthday party, these are the kinds of experiences that this website, which didn't have a name, might enable. And they called me as their technical friend, as their coder friend, and kind of talked through it. And I was like, this is interesting. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't. Let's build a very simple MVP and see what happens. And maybe we decide to quit our jobs and turn this into a company, or maybe we pretend that it never happened. And so you can see, you can't really see on the screen, but this is the very first version of the website where we're looking at, like, what are all the things you might want to do. We looked at what if you could send an email to an athlete and they could respond. How cool would that be? What if you could FaceTime with them? What if you could meet them in person? And what if you could get a personalized video from them, which is actually something that we had seen before. So this is Cassius Marsh. This is the NFL player that I mentioned. And this video predates Cameo. So this is a video that he made for an executive at Nike who had just had a baby boy. And it was a huge Seattle Seahawks fan. And so Cash sent this video to that executive.
Hey, Brandon, it's Cassius Marsh from the Seahawks, man. I just want to say congratulations on Maverick. And, I'm sure if he gets your athletic ability, he'll be playing for the Seahawks one day, man. Go Hawks.
So we thought this was super interesting. And the Nike executive was like, I've had every experience. I'm friends with LeBron. This is one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me. And for me, from Vine, I had a small but loyal following of Vine fans. And I would get DMs like this all the time. Like, hey, would love to meet you. Hey, would love to FaceTime with you, Skype you, would love advice. My sister's a huge fan. Could you send me a video wishing her happy birthday, good luck in school, that kind of thing. And so for me, I was like, I would totally use this. I had just been traveling with my friend who's now a full-time YouTuber for a year, and we were like, if we could make videos for $5, make 20 a day, that's $100. That would have supported us while we were traveling through Vietnam. Like, this felt like a no-brainer for me and my network of small-time YouTubers. And so we built a super, super simple website, which makes me laugh when I go back. I mean, this profile page is literally just a name, a bio, and a form to tell the creator what you want. But it worked. We built something super simple. It took about a month to build. Looking back, it's pretty embarrassing. But we tested it out with our fans. We tested it out with Cassius Marsh's fans. And the response initially was super lackluster. It was super disappointing. We had Cash tweet it out. Nobody came to the website. There were a couple disparaging tweet responses. But one person emailed us and was like, hey, your site doesn't work. But he was like, my daughter's the biggest Cassius Marsh fan in the world. And so we ended up delivering the video over email, and he sent back a reaction from his daughter. And so even early on, even though things were kind of ugly, we saw that there might be signs of product market fit. So this is one of the very first Cameo videos that we did in a ski cabin. Back then, the website was called Power Move on the bottom, so that's why we have this PM logo. But as you can see, this is like a $3 video.
Bum, bum, my dear, my dear, my dear.
Like, these were super low quality. Like, it's kind of embarrassing to look back. But our fans really liked them. And again, the price point was like $3, $5. And it was a really fun way to engage with fans. And so these are a couple early reaction videos. This was really cool because out of the first couple of videos we did, a few of them we actually saw these reaction videos from fans on Twitter, or they would send them to us over email. And so even though our numbers were extremely small, we were doing like 1 video a day, a few videos a week, some of these reactions were just incredible. And
hey,
that kind of...
just want to wish you good luck at Nationals. It's crazy that you're already doing Nationals, which is the highest meet for a level 10 gymnast. Seems like just yesterday you were doing somersaults on the National Gym. And I know I was booked because I'm cheaper than Cody, so you'll get a quick. All right, good luck.
Oh my God! She did that! She paid
And then one more quick one. This is my roommate at the time, Cody Ko, who's now a full-time YouTuber.
What's up, guys? I was gonna say, what's up, Natty? It's me, Cody here. Heard it was birthday, so I wanted to swing by to not only say happy fucking birthday, but also keep your damn dick fat. Okay? A little, or mostly happy birthday. And oh, what's this? Who's this? What's up, Natty? It's Blaze. have a good birthday. Drink some Coors Light and keep white out, please.
So that was cool. You know, we were making like $10 a day, but a lot of the initial response was really exciting, you know, even though investors didn't necessarily want to talk to us. And so this is the summer of 2017. This is when I moved to Chicago to live on the floor of my co-founder's apartment, and we hired 12 interns. So basically everybody in these photos were interns. We lived in this super cramped office in an incubator in Chicago. It was just me and my co-founder trying to raise money, trying to get this thing off the ground. And you know, as I look back, it was just incredibly scrappy, but it worked. You know, the interns were able to onboard anybody that they could get their hands on. They would DM anybody that they thought would famous, anybody that would respond. And it was enough. It was enough to make it to the next stage. And then in May, we got an email from an investor in Chicago who only invests in Chicago startups. His goal is to make Chicago into more of a tech hub, something that I've seen with the community here is a goal to make Birmingham into a little bit more of a tech hub. And he was like, I want to write you a check, $500,000. And that to us was like that was the moment that we kind of felt like, wow, we could turn this into a real company. Let's quit our jobs. Let's like really focus on this thing. And then this is our LA office, similar thing, no windows, opaque windows, didn't matter at the time. But we got it done for what we needed to do at the time. And the last thing I want to share is we've had some really funny moments along the way and some good luck spurts. And there's been a lot of cameos that have gone viral and made it into the zeitgeist and kept us in the media. And this is one that I was laughing as I was reflecting on. This is Smokey Robinson. And somebody booked him for a Hanukkah wish, and he didn't understand the spelling of the word because it was spelled CH, so he pronounced it in a pretty funny way.
Vancouver now, and they wanted me to wish you happy Chanukah. I have no idea what Chanukah is, but happy Chanukah because they said so. Anyway, God bless you, babe, and enjoy Chanukah. Have a wonderful time.
So yeah, it's definitely not been a rocket ship. It's been more of a roller coaster, but these are some fun moments along the way. And now I think we'll do the far side.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's get comfortable. You don't have to walk around anymore.
Perfect.
Man, I love the view of the closet. I can only imagine what it smelled like in there with 12 interns, but props to you for doing that.
We thought it was an office, but now it looks more like a closet.
It was a closet. It was a closet. So that makes me think, you know, it's easy to kind of fast forward to where Cameos is today and forget about all those early days. But if you take us back to 2017, you mentioned you were trying to raise money. What was that fundraising journey like being outside the Bay Area?
So we initially raised a small friends and family round. I think it was $75,000. and we felt like we were rich. I think we were
Tons of money.
burning something like $2,000 a month, and so we were like, we have infinite runway. But then when we started to get that fishbowl office, the closet, started hiring interns, had SaaS contracts and stuff like that, our costs, were starting to become more legitimate. And we were always networking. So that closet was in an incubator called 1871. There's a ton of Chicago area investors that work out of that office. And so every day we were pitching and networking with investors that might be interested in the future. Back then, we didn't have enough traction to be interesting to them, but it was a relationship that we were keeping warm. And then, like I said, in May of 2017, that's when Mike Gamson, who was an executive at LinkedIn, saw the vision, took a bet on us, and his stamp of approval was huge for us because he offered to write the full $500,000 check, but also we filled it with other investors, and so we ended up raising a $500,000 round, which allowed us to get that office and keep moving. So that was huge, and in the fall of that year, we had what started to look like real traction, and we raised a seed round from Chicago Ventures. And then eventually we raised a Series A the following October or November from the Bay, from Lightspeed, and we've been working with Silicon Valley investors since then, as well as Chicago and throughout the country. But early on, those local investors that took a bet on us, that was crucial to us, right? And that was something that kind of feels like a competitive advantage because we were working in a little bit of a smaller market, and we got a little bit more face time, whereas in the Bay, we might not have.
Yeah, no, it's interesting how in a small market like that, you can have these kind of competitive advantages that other people overlook. You mentioned it a little bit, but the early vision for the product, you started with, fans could do anything. What made you zero in on the actual videos? How did you pick that product?
Yeah, so we looked at everything. Actually, the first thing that we thought we were going to build was a way for you to physically hire somebody to come to your birthday party or conference or whatever. And we looked at what are all the things that would enable. Like that we would require security, we need some kind of location service, we need to know where the talent are at different times so that you can book somebody local or you can fly them in. And that was super daunting. And so we were like, okay, what if you could email somebody and they would respond? That'd be a lot easier to build. What if you could FaceTime with them? And the personalized video was sort of the sweet spot. It's easy to build. It's something that was interesting to talent because they could do it anywhere. They could do it on a tour bus. They could do it in a locker room. They could do it in the morning, at night. It wasn't synchronous. They didn't have to be online at the same time as the fan. They had a full week to complete the request. And so that was something that I was like, I would use this. I would use this with my fans, and we tested it out. And that ski cabin video was the first little batch that we did with our fans that we just replied on Twitter saying, hey, come check out this website. And so that was the point that we're like, whoa, this is really fun. And we can't build 5 things at once. We need to focus on a specific niche. Back then, we still were trying to commit to athletes, even though we quickly brought in the scope. And so that's been really the core growth driver of the business since then, even though we've branched off into different markets and different products.
Yeah. I want to go back to that reaction video because there was something so visceral about that. And I think in software and tech, we work with a lot of businesses, and I think especially in underrepresented markets like Birmingham, we tend to go B2B SaaS, and it's very kind of clinical, and there's a playbook. But that was so emotional. But you called that product market fit or signs of product market fit. Why not look to revenue or growth to describe your product market fit? Why that visceral reaction?
Yeah, this feels like one of the canonical challenges of any tech startup is, do we have product market fit or do we not? It's always been a challenge for us. I don't think there's a perfect answer. I think it's more of an art than a science. But that was something that encouraged us to keep building, even though our numbers were incredibly small, even though when Cassius Marsh tweeted to his 50,000 followers, one person came to the website, nobody booked. The demand just didn't really seem super strong. But because of these specific cases of oh my God, this was the most magical experience this person has ever had, we were like, let's invest in this. Let's really try to make it work. There's been other products that we've built that seemed fairly magical that didn't end up reaching scale. And so we've been wrong, we've been right. It's always difficult.
Yeah, that's my new standard. If people use a product and they don't cry, then clearly you don't have product market fit. Founders don't take that to heart. So I want to talk, we talk about pivots and product evolution. Pivot is kind of a buzzword in startup and tech. tech. There's obviously been kind of iterations of Cameo as you've gone down the road, and now you've got Cameo for Business and Cameo for Kids, where you can talk to like Cocomelon. And I'm curious, what along the journey has been a pivot versus just natural product evolutions, and how do you think about the difference there?
So I think we were relatively uniquely lucky in that we sort of pivoted. Initially, we were looking at, okay, what if you could book somebody to do something in person? We sold socks for a day, Cassius Marsh socks.
You still have some?
Yeah, I also have a mug, a Cassius Marsh mug. And so we sort of pivoted to the video, but we never really actually invested in those business lines. So we got pretty lucky in that the personalized video, the thing that became really magical, we found super, super early on. But we've also tried to build new products. We've built new business lines. Some of them have worked, some of them haven't. I mean, really the question that you're trying to answer is this thing going to work, and is this thing working? You know, like when you decide to pivot, you ultimately have to decide, is this working or is it not, and do we need to pivot? And as we look at new business lines, we've built a product called Cameo Calls, which allows you to video chat with the talent on our platform, a product called Fan Club, which is a subscription product where they can share personalized or private content, exclusive content for a subscription fee. We've built Cameo for Business, and then, like you said, Cameo Kids, which uses AI-powered 3D avatars to connect with kids' favorite characters. And what's worked for us, typically we've seen early signs of organic demand. So for Cameo for Business, we saw that our best customers, the customers spending $100,000 a year or more, had corporate email addresses. So at Nike.com, at Amazon.com, instead of at Hotmail.com, at Gmail.com. We also found that a lot of the most declined requests were corporate in nature. Like, hey, please make a video for my business, for my product, things like that. And the feedback we got from our talent was, I would do this, I'm just not willing to do this for $100. I would do it for $1,000, I would do this for $5,000. I would endorse your product for a more corporate rate, but not for the consumer rate. And so that was a product that we found sort of that organic demand. We built a very simple business SKU at a different price. That worked, and we've been layering on more product features and building out a team for that. Like that's been a recipe that's worked really well for us.
Yeah, and I have to ask, it is 2023, so you mentioned AI. How is AI shaping both the products that y'all build, how you build them, and just how you see product being developed going forward?
Yeah, so AI is very interesting. The fundraising market right now is very interesting. And one thing is that AI is such a buzzword. If you put AI in your name or in your pitch, it instantly 5x's your valuation. And so we've been looking at
Cameo.ai.
Yeah. We actually, I think we do have Cameo.ai. And so we've been looking at how can we use AI to make our business better without getting distracted, without pivoting to AI, without building something that people don't actually want. And so there's a lot of cases where AI has been helpful in the things that we do every day. So we use AI to categorize our talent. We use it in search. We use it in discovery. Pretty soon we'll use it to make it easier to craft a booking, to tell the talent what you want in a very human way. And it also powers those 3D avatars. And so we're just looking at, like, what is the future of fan to talent interaction, and how does AI fit into that? The most obvious use case would be something like deep fake, so you could get like a AI version of a celebrity to make you a video. It doesn't seem like that's where we're really going to have product market fit. So we're figuring it out. So far, the chat experience has been the most fun. So like we built a tool where you can chat with Snoop Dogg, just like, like text almost. And that's probably been the most fun experience that we found so far, other than the AI characters like Cocomelon.
Yeah. Speaking of distractions, I know I get the pleasure of working with founders here in Birmingham, you're in Chicago. Outside of the Bay, you know, we tend to be, have an underdog mentality sometimes, and I think it can be distracting to say, oh, we don't have enough talent, we don't have enough capital. I'm curious from your standpoint, you know, Chicago 7 years ago was maybe much like Birmingham is today. What do you think is a good approach to have to being an underserved market versus what's a distraction, and what do you just need to push through?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One is, it's super common that people just don't try hard enough. You know, when we were starting, from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. every single day for months. Like, that's all we did was work. That's all we did was like try to figure out how to get a famous person to respond to a DM, hire an army of interns, and just brute force it. So creating a company is hard and it can feel impossible, but usually things that feel impossible aren't in my experience. The other thing is, like I said, there's major benefits to being in a smaller market. And what we found is for the mega fundraising rounds that we've had, for the $100 million fundraising round, you have to go to the Bay, you know? But you don't really need to go to the Bay for engineering talent these days. I think especially with COVID, especially with remote work, I think people are more distributed than ever. And so that's kind of the framework we've looked at it through.
Yeah. So, you know, getting a celebrity to send you a one-on-one video seems highly improbable, right? So I'm curious, you have to, I think, have a somewhat of a contrarian view to believe that that's possible and to keep pursuing that until you get it. Are there other contrarian things that you believe that most of the general public would disagree with?
Yeah, it's interesting. I love this question. So on a day-to-day basis, the biggest almost argument that I run into is I believe the world undervalues simplicity. So especially like when we're building something, when I see other startups, other pitches, generally things are too complicated. You know, I think there's a natural desire to think that if you build or offer 5 things, it's 5 times better than one. But I think the relationship is a little bit more inverse. So that seems like something that's generally pretty unintuitive, and that's been a huge boon for us, is creating products that are just dead simple, don't require any explanation, people get it the second they see it, super easy to check out, a lot of things like that, not a lot of clicks, not a lot of typing. So that's probably been one that I run into a ton on a day-to-day basis. I also have a funny one, which is,
Let's hear it.
I think tipping culture has gone overboard. So like, you know.
Don't tell Jennifer Ryan that.
Yeah. Yeah, so requiring me to tip on a toothbrush and stuff like that, that's one that I've kind of noticed.
So last question, and then I want to get some questions from the audience. If we think about looking forward the next 5-10 years, you know, fan engagement historically has always been one-to-many, and that's why things like Cameo are so magical. Things like backstage passes, anytime, you know, front row seats. Where do you see, whether it's AI or technology or just human nature, how do you see fan engagement evolving? And do you see more one-to-one fan engagement being enabled through technology, AI, or just preferences that we have as fans and celebrities?
Yeah, so there are a few things that have always been true and will always be true, which is that talent want to connect with their fans. Fans want more personal relationship with talent. I think especially in the world of YouTube and some of the more digital platforms, that's even more true. So the desire's there. The problem is achieving liquidity is really hard, right? Like it's not feasible for Taylor Swift to have lunch with all of her fans. It's not even possible. And so with Cameo, we kind of stumbled into a solution that allows you to connect with 20 fans in 20 minutes on your own time. You can do it on a plane, you can do it on a bus. And so that's, as we look at what if we built a product for a physical meet and greet, as we look at merch, that's really the secret sauce, even when it comes to like video chatting with people. How do we make something that for the price point is affordable and meaningful to talent, but also easy and fun? You know, that's where we really found success, when we nailed that.
Yeah, love that. So going to open it up to the audience. Questions for Devon. I think I can see you. Raise your hand. Do we have a mic we're going to pass? Or are you just going to shout it out? There we go. There we go.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Where are you?
Okay. So my biggest question is, you talked about how you have to kind of identify the product market fit and how you have to kind of zero in on the most important features. And I am just somebody that's coming from, I've worked for a corporation for a little bit, and then I had some family stuff, and I've just been kind of trying to figure out what's next. And so where do you begin with that? Kind of like zeroing down the most important features and then identifying that product market fit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so two things if I understand you correctly. One is, I think you're saying like, where do you find the idea? And probably the most reliable playbook is just noticing everything. Noticing everything in your day-to-day life. What do I really like and what do I really not like? You know, like I really like, let's say you really like speaking, which is a theme for today. You know, what if there was an easier way to give you access to speaking engagements? What if there was a way to create more of a marketplace for that? Like that could be an interesting idea. Same with things that really annoy you, things that annoy you about Ubers, things that annoy you about traveling, or just anything in your day-to-day life. That's usually where a lot of these ideas come from. And then again, my MO is build a super simple, super fast way to validate whether this is a real problem, whether this solution actually works. Because something we see a lot is people, the first thing they want to do is raise money, and maybe they can't, or maybe they can, and then they work an idea that doesn't work for a year, and they kind of waste a year. The second thing that you kind of remind me of, we have a mantra at Cameo, which is don't solve problems that don't exist. So when it comes to features, there's a lot of hypothetical problems, like what if people are abusive on the platform? What if there's hate speech? This is something where it's like, let's be prepared for bad outcomes and think about how we would solve them, but let's not assume that everything that we think bad could happen will happen. And like, for example, in our case, we were worried that people would be mean to the talent on our platform. We found that because we require a credit card, because you're spending $25, $100, people are not going to spend $25 on Cameo to be mean where they can do it for free on Twitter and Instagram. So, you know, that's kind of an example.
To do something. How do you get an artist to agree to do something like this and still feel secure that their information won't get leaked out, their cell numbers or you know, any type of information where somebody could get to them and reach them outside of Cameo?
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a challenge, and specifically, pretty often a celebrity's number will get leaked, like it'll show up on Google, and they'll blame us. But we just found that like it's never us. We take a lot of precaution when it comes to our talent's contact info. So we encrypt our phone numbers. We really limit who has access at the company. When people leave the company, we make sure that they don't take that stuff with them. But in general, people have been trustful. And the platform is generally pretty safe. Like I said, there's not a lot of hate speech. There's not a lot of negative requests. And the talent can choose which request they want to fulfill. So if somebody requests somebody and they're like, hey, I want you to do something weird, the talent can just decline it. Nobody really knows that it ever happened. And we've also built, with our DM product, we've built blur technology, and we use AI to identify inappropriate words and images and stuff like that. So it's been something we've been able to stay ahead of so far.
Hi, my name is Malika. I attend the University of Alabama. I have a question because I do want to start a tech business. So going back to the very beginning, when you began your business, like what was the first thing you did? Like when you sat down, like product problem, like how did you plan all that out? How did you get your group of people, everything, like step by step?
Yeah, so Steven is my co-founder. I went to college with him. I've known him forever. This is not the first startup he's pitched to me. And so our playbook is always, okay, like let's figure out exactly why we think this will work, what is the problem, why this solution will work, why we have a right to win over the incumbents, over the bigger companies. And then let's really try to validate this idea. And I think one thing people underestimate is it's usually extremely easy to validate an idea. You know, like if you want to build a new product, usually it's just like a super simple website, and there's a lot of no-code tools out there. Maybe there's a payment processing. There's also great tools out there. And you can get very far. You can get to those reaction videos having only worked on an idea in nights and weekends or in a few weeks. So when we first started this company, I was like, oh, this will be a fun little project. I wasn't looking at this as like a $1 billion company, but the first version of the site was good enough to get to version 2, which was good enough to get to version 3. We always had enough to commit the resources and time to make it to the next step.
Hey, so you spoke a lot to the development of this product. I'm wondering if you could speak more so to, you know, marketing the product? Because it's like in technology and tech, you can build a product that solves a problem, meets a need, but if no one knows it exists, then where do you go from there? So can you talk about like how you approach marketing?
Yeah, marketing. So a lot of things have gone well for us. A lot of things have not gone well for us. Marketing is something that we've never quite figured out in a super scalable way. The benefit of Cameo is we used initially a sales motion to acquire the talent. And the talent on our platform are famous. Like generally the ones that are pretty successful have at least 100,000, if not millions of followers. And so they kind of do their own marketing, which is pretty consistent with most creator economy companies. One of the things we're working on now is improving the profitability of the business, the unit economics of the business. I'm pretty optimistic, and we're going to start marketing to talent. So previously we've been marketing to consumers, hey, you should buy a video from the creators on our platform. We're going to start marketing to the creators directly to get them to onboard. That has a different unit economics profile. LTV is a lot higher for the talent, and so that will enable a higher CAC, a higher cost of customer acquisition. So this is something that we've been trying to unlock for years, for 6 years, and it's been a struggle, but it's something that we'll never give up on. We'll eventually figure out how to make it work. And luckily, in the meantime, talent are able to market themselves. So it's never kept us from getting to the next level.
Hello, my name is Sam, and I'm currently a founder of a tech startup as well, but it's much beginning stages. Do you recommend taking on investments for equity at a lower level at the beginning of your company as well as an accelerator, or putting in a lot of sweat equity prior and then getting a bigger investment?
One question that I don't think people ask enough is this a VC business? So there's a lot of businesses that are even pretty similar to Cameo that can be phenomenal businesses that can make $20 million a year, but they're not scalable in the same way that a tech company is. So I think that's the first question is like, what does this business need to succeed? Because once you get on the VC train, once you raise money from VC, they're expecting an outcome, they're expecting a large outcome, they're expecting an exit. And so that's something that has killed companies in the past, is raising too much too early and not being able to deliver the crazy growth targets to justify that valuation. And then I think beyond that is just like, what does the business need to succeed? Some people can self-fund, some people can't. They need a little bit of money to make ends meet. So I think it really depends on what you need to validate the hypothesis.
One last question. Blue shirt in the back.
Hey, so as the company's grown and as you've achieved like new levels of success and growth, how have you personally had to grow as a leader? And what are some of the biggest like hard skills you've had to develop from startup in the garage to managing everybody you do now?
Yeah, so when we started, I was spending all of my time coding, and I was the one-man tech design product shop. And as we've grown, we've had to solve a lot of weird problems. So, like getting a great deal on an office space has been something that's consumed my life for weeks at a time. Getting Cameo.com. So we started as bookcameo.com, and so getting Cameo.com was like a really interesting challenge that consumed my life for a while. And so there's a lot of these random miscellaneous things that you totally forget about once you solve them. Probably the biggest challenge for me is hiring great leaders and co-creating with them. So what I found is if you hire a really great person and then you just let them do their thing and you don't interface with them, that hasn't really worked for us. But on the flip side, if you micromanage really great people, they're going to leave. And so it's taken us a long time. It's been a really arduous journey to get the really great team that we have today. That's been actually one of the surprises, is hiring is just really fucking hard at the IC level, at the executive level. But I feel like I'm reaching the point where I'm able to be an effective manager of executives, but also lead the vision of the product and of the company.
All right, guys, we are up on time. Y'all give it up for Devon Townsend. Thank y'all.